tax nga banyigabunyizi kamunyenye 285# banyumirwe enkola enennyangu etali mu nsindikagano.
Nyabo bannange byaddala Janet omuntu awonye layini gwe nyinda kusasuliranga ku ssimu labayo bannange.
Tuzimbirwamu ebiseera by'omu maaso ebitangaavu nga tunyiga kamunyenye 285# olunaku lwonna essaawa yonna wonna w'oli. Uganda Revenue Authority, tukulakulanyize wamu Uganda.
Eyo jolese siyange eyange irisiti tompa birara irisiti ojja kumpa irisiti tompa birara irisiti ojja kumpa irisiti tompa birara mpa irisiti yange.
That's right. Insist on getting your e-receipt. It's your ticket to fantastic prizes, including motorbikes, laptops, fridges, and a fully paid 6-day safari for 2 in Uganda. Take a picture of your e-receipt, upload it to the URA website or mobile app, and you could be the lucky winner. The more receipts you upload, the higher your chances of winning. Terms and conditions apply. More details on our social media channels.
Uganda Revenue Authority, developing Uganda together.
Wala bana ifudde banzimye zempedde. Yangu eno naawe olowooza ababbi b'oku street be banzibye. Saabo kankubulire natikka ebintu byange okuva China ne bangamba neetaaga tiini namba. Nze nga sigirina neentuma omuntu omulala abindeetere. Kati ngenze mu URA baŋŋambye ebintu byange tebiri mu mannya gange era si byange mbu sayina tiini namba. Nze kati nebya tiini namba sibitegeera. Nane mfudde obusete neewola mwewole ye tiini namba byebiki. Bannange sente zange.
Tax identification number. Oba giyite namba. Musuubuzi zewandiisa mu URA. Asasulira emisolo.
Kati ebyo nze njifuna ntya bambikola ntya?
Ebintu babigonza. Olina ndagamuntu?
Njirina.
Ogenda bugenzi ku website ya URA.
www.ura.go.ug aho nolondako e-services then nogenda ku tin registration. Aho n'oteeramu n'ennamba yo n'omwaka gwe wazaalibwamu amannya go gajja kwereta automatically. Awo n'ojjuzaamu n'ebirala bitono nnyo ebyetaagisibwa ng'ennamba y'essimu yo, email address yo ne gy'obeera. Era nga bino osobola emabega wandagamuntu yo. Then n'osubmitinga nga kamesagi kajja direct ku ssimu yo. Dakiika ntono nnyo.
Second akamesagi ogenda kafuna kebera ku ssimu yo.
Nga sina. Yes! Bannange bintu bikolera ddala bannange obugayaavu kibi. Omanyi obugayaavu bukuza bannange weebale Dangote. Bannange omponyeza. Omanyi ebintu byange bingi byowonyeza okubbibwa. Nzizeyo mu URA mbalage nti njirina.
Okubeera ne tiini namba kikuyamba mu bintu bingi nnyo okugeza mu kusuubula n'okusuubuza eby'ebyamaguzi mu Uganda ne wabweru wa Uganda, okuddizibwa ensimbi okuva ku misolo gy'osasula, okufuna looni mu banka ez'enjawulo, okufuna layisinsi okuva mu government agencies zonna, okuwandiisa emmotoka yo n'okugula oba okutunda ettaka.
URA, tukulakulanyize wamu Uganda.
Hello, landlady.
Hello.
I'm from URA. I'm here to remind you to register, file, and pay your rental income tax.
I'm on top of it. I've already registered, filed, and paid my rental income tax.
Oh, wow. So rental income is the amount of money derived by a person for the year of income from letting land or buildings.
Oh, I see. Okay, let me get started.
Okay.
Thank you.
Now, Mama, you as an individual who earns more than 2,820,000 shillings a year as your rental income from this place, you will only be taxed 12%. A company like yours that earns rental income is allowed up to 50% in terms of expenses for the particular year of income, and the balance is taxed at a rate of 30%.
Wow, that sounds reasonable and fair.
Oh yeah, it's all about property prosperity and making well-informed financial decisions.
Wow, let's get started then.
Okay.
We call upon all landlords and landladies to register, file correct returns, and pay in time to avoid penalties that may come with failure to do so. Visit the URA website www.ura.go.ug or call the toll-free line to get started.
Uganda Revenue Authority.
Good morning. Welcome to today's Tax MCHUZI. My name is Josephine Kabiesi. I'll be your host. And we have with us
Afsa Seguya from the Tax Literacy Unit.
So the topic today is the tax waiver in section 40D. I don't know if some of you have been able to see the on social media our URA offer that lasts way beyond Black Friday. So we'll just dive straight into it. Hafsa, please tell us about this tax waiver briefly.
Thank you very much. Ideally, in the policy amendments that are normally read as we are starting a new financial year, the minister at times comes out with issues that we need to pick interest on. And this year, we had policy amendments where the waiver was read, and we are meant to see how it can be implemented. We are meant to see whether our clients understand it and take advantage of it, because ideally, it is meant to see how we can make the taxpayer side a little softer. Yes, we know one may have a lot of liability, but we are cognizant of the fact that business hasn't been moving well the way it used to. From when we left COVID, we still have the COVID effects within our businesses. So that is when they came up with that waiver that is contained in the Tax Procedures Code Act of 2014, and it is enshrined in 40D of the Tax Procedures Code.
Okay, so is the waiver of interest upon voluntary principal tax by law?
Ideally, it's by law, because when the budget is read, ideally they are all bills by that time. But when the president assents, it goes into law when he signs. So now it is in law. That is why it's in the Tax Procedures Code in section 40D. But maybe one would like to ask what exactly is in 40D. For me, what is in there for me to understand? Ideally, 40D is into two sections. Section 1 is very clear that if one had a liability of unpaid tax as at 30th June 2023, when you ascertain your unpaid tax, the total is, for example, maybe 7 million. And within the 7 million, you have the principal, which is the actual tax, and you have the penalty. This arises from maybe you filed some returns late, or maybe you understated in some returns, say income tax. That is when maybe the penalty arose. And maybe you also have interest, because as long as this liability is uncleared, it will continue accruing interest. So what is subsection 1 trying to inform you? They are informing you that if you can ascertain that this is my total tax, and this is the breakdown of those three, kindly address the principal tax. Ensure that you can pay it and clear it by the 31st of December. It will be very clear. You don't need to make an application to waive the interest and penalty. It will be self-explanatory. Once there is a corresponding payment registration slip against the principal that has been honored by the bank, then we will be doing that. But ideally, still in section 40D2, clearly looks at those. Yes, you may be in agreement that this is the outstanding liability, but due to constraints here and there, you may not be in position to clear the liability by 31st December. Still, we have something for you. We are telling you, try and fight hard and see to what extent can you clear the principal tax. If you clear the principal tax, say if it was 7 million and you clear 5 million, we are still going to waive the penalty and interest in relation to how much principal you paid. That is what we call on a pro rata basis, as it is indicated in section 40D subsection 2. So basically, we are here to remind our clients, you may not have known, you may be there struggling, kindly come and we see how best you can utilize this, because we still have some days. These days can make a difference in your tax position. They can make a difference in your liability once you utilize the waiver that is available for you right now. You don't need to apply. The only thing is to ascertain what is my outstanding, or what was my outstanding as of 30th June. Then probably we can see how to kickstart it and inform you of how you can make the payments and give you the payment slips in case you can't generate one, and see how best you can clear the principal tax.
Thank you, Afsa. So who qualifies for the tax waiver?
Ideally, whoever is a client of your, that means you have a TIN, you registered for taxes, we gave you a TIN, and you have an outstanding liability on domestic taxes, because ideally domestic tax is not only income tax, we have rental income tax, those who source income from rented property or rented spaces. We have pay as you earn, maybe you filed and you did not pay whatever you deducted from your employees. We have excise duty for those who are in manufacturing, telecom, and the like. We have value added tax for those who have incomes or a turnover that exceeds 150 million, and we registered you for VAT. You may have gotten issues here and there. Yes, you filed, but you may not have paid. Or there was an audit that was instituted, and maybe there is an outstanding somewhere, somehow. We look at game pooling and betting tax. Ideally, all tax heads that we do administer under domestic taxes is where the waiver is applying to.
So when is the deadline for this tax waiver, or is it something that's available, perpetually?
Apparently, the tax law is very clear and it's intentional. In still section 40D of the Tax Procedures Code of 2014, it indicates that in order for you to benefit from the waiver on penalty and interest, you must have paid the outstanding or part of the outstanding by 31st of December 2023. So apparently that is the timeline we are looking at. We are not sure whether the minister may maybe push it forward, but apparently that's what we are working towards, because it's very clear, it's in the tax law, and that is how it was pronounced then.
Which year of proceedings does the waiver apply to?
Ideally, one looks at, because it's clear, it tells you if you had an outstanding liability as at 30th June 2023. That is what we are looking at. And prior, because when I get your outstanding as at 30th June, that means it has, some of it has come and it has accumulated from previous years up to now. Because ideally interest also accumulates, and we compute interest now if it's VAT compounded and all that. So it is as at 30th June and prior. But maybe one would like to ask, this is maybe it'll come out later. Let's first continue because it may mix up the whole conversation. We'll bring it later as an illustration so that one can exactly know how best to manage it.
Okay. Previously, some taxpayers have expressed concerns regarding ledger. These are changing and all that. So what advice do you have to those who have outstanding liabilities, tax liabilities?
Ideally, you have an outstanding, but maybe I would maybe also ask, how did you know it was outstanding? Unless you got it from the tax ledger, because now we call it a tax statement. That is the new way we brand it. When you log on to your account, get there, it's called a tax statement. Unless you fail to interpret it, kindly come to us and we'll make you understand why figures are that way. And in the event that you do not agree, kindly do come and we see if there's a reconciliation problem here and there. We can fix it, because ideally, yes, we're improving the ledgers, but there may be an error which I can't rule out. Kindly come and we see if there's a payment maybe that hasn't been posted where you expect it to be. Kindly come and we see what exactly is there, so that we can give you something that is properly reconciled and you can know your outstanding and see how to basically clear it.
Okay, you mentioned an illustration.
Exactly, because when we look at 30th June, if your liability say was a particular figure, I would like to make it a little more clear. We have clients that have taken time without filing. For example, income tax. If one didn't file from 2019, 1920, you didn't file. It was due by the 31st of December 2020. You didn't file 2020, 2021. It was due by the 31st of December 2021. You didn't file 21-22, which was due by the 31st of December 2022. Kindly file all this, because yes, you're filing them in December, but the ledger is going to post them in their respective periods, and the respective periods are within the timeline of 30th June and prior. Kindly file them, because when you file them, when we run the ledger, we are going to look at if it's interest. We are looking at it as at 30th June, not as at maybe December 11th or whatever the date is, or December 14th. We are not looking at it as that today. Will look at maybe the interest as that 30th June. So whatever will be the amounts that you will file, and you can make them good in payment. So whatever interest was accrued from then when the return was due up to 30th June, whatever penalty was there for late filing, because you're filing it now, instead of the dates I mentioned, we were supposed to receive it at a particular date. That is what the waiver is going to address. So at times, when we talk about 30th June, people just think that when you just read and see it's this figure, kindly take that. Yes, it's okay for somebody who has been filing up to date, but there are those who have taken time without filing. It is well you filed the prior returns. If it's VAT, if it's pay as you earn, you didn't file from Jan maybe to May, kindly do file, because whatever penalty is there, whatever interest was going to be computed there, it is what the waiver is going to address, and you remain with only the principal tax to see how best you can clear it. That is the illustration I wanted to bring clearly, because I know I have clients there who have taken long without filing. They don't know whether the waiver actually is in their favor or not. So I wanted to bring it out clearly that it's in your favor, provided you're clear that we are looking at you. When you file, we post it where it's supposed to go for that year. But when we compute interest as at 30th June, what was it? If we compute penalty for late filing, what was it? So that is what the waiver addresses. And maybe from 30th June up to now, you may have another component of penalty and interest. That's definitely that will be payable.
Okay, but at least that's an olive branch extended for what I would imagine is a greater part.
Yes.
So assuming I've had this gospel, I've been having my maybe rentals somewhere, my apartments that I'm renting out, and I had never acquired a team. If I got one today, on 14th December, and then I register, but I've not been paying all this time, I've not been filing, would that waiver still apply to me?
Ideally, we are looking at somebody at least who was on the tax register then, because the responsibility or the obligation accrued then. So one who is just coming now, unless I have proof that actually this income was there, it may be difficult to take somebody back 3 or 4 years, because it has a big financial implication. Because in most cases, when somebody comes to register, we register them as at that day they have come. So when we register you as at that day, then the obligation to file the returns backwards may not apply, unless we are very sure that there is reason why you needed to be on the register, maybe by a particular date, maybe a year back, then that is when it may go a year back. And when your registration takes you a year back, that means even the obligation to file goes a year back. So ideally you file, but we look at you from when you filed up to 30th June, and we see what exactly has to happen.
Okay. So as we close, if I need some help with this and I need to speak to someone, what channels are available?
Ideally, as URA, we have digital channels. We are into the digital space. The biggest point of it, because you first ask yourself, how did we manage in COVID? Nobody was moving, nobody could come to us, but we still collected, and actually we collected some good revenue. So you are aware to the digital space, and we advise you, instead of walking here and there, kindly use the channels that are available. We have the toll-free lines where you only need patience. You do not need to pay for that service on 0800 11 7000, 0800 21 7000. You try on both of them and see where you could go in a little faster. Then you talk to any of our client people who are there waiting for you. Then we're also on WhatsApp on 772 14 code 0. Kindly chat with us. You can chat with us and get some information. The way you just chat with your friends, chat with URA, there's always somebody on that line waiting for you. You can even send an email on services at ura.go.ug. Then on URA X handle, what you used to know as Twitter, now we are there, and we are basically waiting for you at URA Uganda to send in something. We are equally on LinkedIn, Uganda Revenue Authority. Kindly go there. Facebook, it's the same, Uganda Revenue Authority. TikTok, I'm informed we have some video content there. Kindly go and listen to what is there. It's part of our tax education. It's part of our tax awareness interventions that we are using, because we cannot, you are too busy. Sincerely, when will I ever get you? But at least if I put content there, I am sure in your free time, over the weekend, you're at home, you can get time to listen to this content. We're on YouTube. Whatever videos or webinars we do, after we've done them, then we need to put them on YouTube. For those who may come afterwards and didn't get time to log in at that particular time when we're basically handling it. But even though we are into the digital space, we haven't closed the traditional offices, because there are people who believe in seeing Hafsa and talking to her face to face. We are still there. Kindly go, if you're that person who needs to talk to somebody while seeing them physically, kindly go to our countrywide offices. We have regional offices in all the regions in Uganda, so you can't fail. We're near a touch point via the portal. Kindly do communicate to us and see. We have a solution to every problem, provided it is a tax related problem. You can see how to come in and make your life better, because ideally we are meant to create an enabling environment to our clients. We are meant to facilitate trade in all we do, whether digital transformation. It has to cater for that component, because this person is the reason why URA exists. If you do not facilitate their business, ideally, then we are not doing the right thing, because I need to move with you. I need to understand your business. I need to know what challenges you have so that we can move together. Once I get you on my tax register, I don't want to see you falling off, because I'm here to see that we widen the tax base. All of us take our fair share of taxes so that we can build and develop Uganda and deliver it to economic independence.
Thank you so much. We just have one question here. If I have some areas in regard to customs taxes,
yes,
is that covered by the waiver?
It's not really covered by the waiver, but if you have areas, kindly come through and get to customs. We have the normal installment payment that we have been managing before even the waiver came. When you have outstandings, we have been managing them in installment payments. We can sit and develop a plan how you can pay them. Normally, we don't normally exceed for installments, because we want to recover within that same financial year. In case there is a policy amendment that comes through and it is probably illustrating something different with outstanding amounts, then what will we do? So normally when we agree on the amount, on the installments, then if the commission of that department is comfortable, it is okay, then we craft an MOU. An MOU is a document that will be governing URA and governing us. And secondly, you tell us, if I'm paying in 4 installments, these are months, you tell us, paying in 4 months, you need to tell us which date should we expect the payment. Because we don't know your cash flows. You know them better. You tell us every 27 of these 4 months is when I will be making the payment good. So that means I start reminding you from the 20th, kindly prepare, make good your payment. If it's a check, ensure the monies are there in the bank. kindly do so, because there are those who give us post-dated checks. But before we bank, at least we should do some due diligence. You might have forgotten. People are busy. They might have deducted some charges in the bank and you don't know. So we tell you, make sure the monies are there before we could bank, so that we are moving together with you. So ideally, the installment payment is still there. Come through and we see how best we can help you. You continue working while working on your obligation and clearing the outstanding.
Okay, maybe one more question. What exact taxes are covered by the waiver?
The waiver, we are looking at income tax from business transactions. We are looking at rental income tax from rented spaces and rented property. We are looking at value added tax for those who collect VAT on behalf of URA, those who registered for VAT, those that exceed 150 million. We are looking at excise duty, those who are dealing in items that are excisable, the telecom services, those who are in manufacturing. We are looking at game pooling and betting tax for those who are into the betting games and all that. And we are basically looking at pay as you earn, because you may be deducting from your employees and you need to remit to URA. We are looking at withholding tax, those that we designated to withhold on goods and services, on other items, on professional fees, on commission agents, on advertising agents. They are it's a little wide with withholding tax, but at least we have a scope. So whatever is under the domestic taxes, ideally, it is very clear that you come and we see how best your ledger reads. We interpret it for you. We make sure you understand and you commit yourself to see how best you can clear the principal. Then we work on the rest, because the reason now we are advancing with our ledgers, it won't need a human intervention to see that now I have paid, then clear this. The system will just knock off. It's like any balancing transaction in accounting. It will just knock off the waiver and the interest.
Thank you so much. Much as we have to come to an end, please keep the questions coming in. Someone will be able to respond. And as we prepare to close, do you have any parting shots, bearing in mind that it's 14th December, I think there's a deadline around.
Yeah, the 14th December one, I would like to remind our clients, for those who are registered for the monthly tax types, that is VAT, pay as you earn, withholding tax, and those under game pooling and betting. Normally we need a return at the end of the month. Though you have filed the weekly returns and paid, we need that return that you give us to conclude the weekly activities in that particular month. Kindly remember that due date is on 15th of December. Do not forget, because once you file beyond that, it will attract a penalty. And maybe to remind those who are basically who are registered for VAT, we have changed the template. We are no longer using the Excel-based template. We are using a web-based template, which is a little simpler because we have pre-filled it for you. Your work is to log in, kindly confirm the transactions, kindly confirm the offsets, kindly confirm the credit notes, kindly confirm the deemed VAT. Once you're comfortable with all that, then your work will be to trigger the submit button and then submit to us. So we are simplifying for this client. We want the client to take lesser time in giving us this return. And we want the client to reduce the cost of doing business. If you have been hiring somebody to file for you on a monthly basis, we are now here to file for you. We've made it simpler, but at the end of it, we want you to do some work. Log in, confirm, then submit. And lastly, I would like to thank our clients for accepting to move this journey with us. The journey to economic independence is not the easiest, because we need to develop Uganda the way the other countries are developed, where you normally go and you feel you don't want to come back. There is a sacrifice that has to be made. It is you and me that have to deliver this country to economic independence. Pay a little, I pay a little. Everybody pays a little. Nobody will be paying much. Thank you very much and have a blessed day.
Okay, and just a reminder about this tax waiver, you have give or take probably 2 weeks. Please, every minute counts. Even on Christmas or Boxing Day, using the online platforms, you should be able to pay something, but don't let this offer pass you by. Please utilize it. It's one of the amazing things that we have at our disposal right now, so take advantage of it. Thank you for joining us. Please keep the questions coming in. Please utilize the different platforms that have been talked about. We would like to help you. We would like to enable you. Good day.